American Lit friends. So today you're going to be reading an essay, a nonfiction essay. So it's an example of academic writing, and this one is an essay. It is a narrative essay, but it's also a reflective essay where the author's thinking about some things in her life. It is written by Sandra Cisneros, and it is called Spinning Straw into Gold. And it's a story about culture and identity and community and morals and ethics, all three of the things that we are talking about. So once again, this is a work of American literature, but we're looking at it through an identity, community, and ethical lens, like we will everything this time. Before we get started, I do want to talk to you a little bit about community. So community is any social unit that has norms, religion, values, customs, and in general, sort of an insular identity. And to explain this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a little bit about a community I was part of. When I was in college, I was decided to work for a summer camp, and it was a traditional summer camp, like cabins, a lake, boys and girls, canoeing, archery, arts and craft, camp dances. It was in Toccoa, Georgia, and no air conditioning in the cabins, no electricity in some of the cabins. We would camp out under the stars, like no tents, just sleeping bags on the ground, one night a week, cook out over fires, camp songs, s'mores, the whole camp experience, right? And so the way it would work is all the staff, and it was all college-age kids, would come up for a week of staff training, and then we would spend 7 weeks after that working at the camp with kids, week after week after week, no air conditioning all summer long, only 2 hours off a day and 24 hours off a week. So it was like forced bonding, and it was my absolute favorite time of my life ever. I would go back to camp in a second. If you don't know what you want to do in your summers in college, I absolutely suggest that you become a camp counselor. It's the best job ever. Doesn't pay well, but totally worth it. But camp was a community that I was a part of, and now being a camp alum is a community that I'm still a part of, and those community identities are a lot to my personal identity. I consider myself a camp person. Camp has made me the person that I am. And so when I look at the idea of community, camp was a social unit because it was a group of 30 to 40 college-age students, same age students, all put together in the same like 70-acre camp without being able to really leave very often. So we did become a social unit. There were cliques, there were boyfriends and girlfriends, people would fight, people would break up, people would get together. I mean, it had all of those markings of a social unit. It also had norms. There were things at camp that are like really normal there that wouldn't be normal other places. Like, for instance, scratching your mosquito bites with like a stick or a rock. Like, I would never stand in front of you guys in a classroom and scratch my mosquito bite with a stick, but we were always so itchy at camp, like 24 hours a day, that we would scratch our mosquito bites with like sticks and rocks, and that was a total social norm. And so even as a grown-up, if I'm with those people and we're outdoors and we get bitten by something, we all know that it's cool to pick up a stick and scratch at it because that is a community norm for us. Also, values, right? Shared values are important, and at camp, we had the shared value of thinking that like face-to-face conversation and that like bonded time together in the outdoors was really important for kids. Like being off screens, being out of their school environment, being in cabins, learning to be independent, choosing their own clothes, choosing their own food. Those were values that we shared. And so we all believed the same things were important, and we worked together really, really hard to give those kids that experience. And that meant a lot to us and built a sense of community identity. We also had shared customs. Every morning we woke up the same way, to a big, loud, obnoxious bell. Someone would find a plaque on their bed that said you had to be the bell ringer, which stunk because that was the bell that woke everybody up. So it meant if you became the bell ringer, that you had to get up and go ring the bell every day. And then after you had done it for a week, you would put the plaque on someone else's bed. So that was a custom that we had. If you lost something at camp, and another counselor found it, you had to sing in front of everybody in the dining hall. And so that was another custom we shared. Just all sorts of customs like that. If it was your birthday, we had a certain birthday song that we sang for everyone. Whenever the week ended, we sang a certain song for the cooks. All of those were customs that we shared. There was always a staff belly flop contest, and I will tell you that I have won that before, and that was a custom. And so all of those things created a community identity for us at camp that built that sense of community and really created a real sense of what it means to be a camp person or a camp counselor. And that was such a special and amazing 10 years of my life, because I did end up working there for 10 years, moving all the way up to being a director. It was such a special 10 years of my life, and that community, I feel so strongly about how it influenced my life and some of the values that we shared there. And when I consider my personal identity and when I look at the ethics and morals that I carry with me today, a lot of them came right back to camp. So that's my example of what a community is. And I know all of you guys have your own communities. Next week, we're gonna be talking a little bit about community and your own communities and doing some interactive stuff with that. So just think a little bit about what communities are really, really important to you. And let's go ahead and take some time to read the story, please. Hope you enjoy it.